Hey there, all you terrifying theatrical titans! Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight! I'm Mark Bonanni, and this is episode 72 of Broadway Jeopardy, and it's Halloween, so this week is filled with lots of spooky vibes. But there's 26 clues ready to test your Broadway brains, so let's get right to this week's game. This is Broadway Jeopardy! Looking at our categories for this week, we start off as always with last week's Final Jeopardy category, which is Murder Most Foul, looking at some murders in different musicals. That's followed by Tricks Are Treats. In this category, we're looking at some amazing special effects or magic tricks that have been seen in shows. After that, we have Spooky Musicals. As it sounds, we're looking at some of the more macabre musicals in this category. Then we have It's a Monster. This is a visual category where I'll show you a different monster or creature that has appeared in a play or musical, and you name the show they're from. And last but not least, we have Little Shop of Horrors, one of my all-time favorite musicals, probably the same for a lot of you out there, so what better time than now to give it its own category. And we end with the Final Jeopardy round, so make sure and keep track of your scores if you want, so you can wager some or all of your invisible earnings on that final clue. We start off, of course, with the $200 round, or the Overture Round as we call it, where the questions start off on the easy side before I turn up the difficulty with the later rounds to a frightening level. Kicking things off in the Murder Most Foul category, your first $200 clue is: the evil Scar in The Lion King sends this king to his death via a wildebeest stampede. Who is Mufasa? The original Mufasa on Broadway was Samuel E. Wright, who was nominated for Best Featured Actor in a Musical at the Tonys for the role. Samuel E. Wright had appeared in many Broadway shows before The Lion King, including Over Here, The Tap Dance Kid, Two Gentlemen Verona, and Pippin, where he replaced Ben Vereen as the leading player. But Mr. Wright will always be best remembered for voicing Sebastian the Crab from the film The Little Mermaid, as well as its sequels, TV show, and video games.
Teenagers, they think they know everything. You give them an inch, they swim all over you.
Moving on to the Tricks Are Treats category, your next $200 clue is: Elphaba appears to actually take flight in the thrilifying Act 1 finale of Wicked, titled this. What is Defying Gravity? The number is one of the most exciting Act 1 closures in Broadway history, I think. I remember when I first saw the show in previews, I called my mother at intermission after that song and told her to buy her tickets to Wicked for her upcoming trip immediately, because this show was going to be big, and I was definitely on the money there. Though I do wonder now if the Fantastic Film version's thrilling take on Defying Gravity will sort of diminish the impact of the stage version, especially for those who now see the film first. The $200 clue in the Spooky Musicals category is: in the musical Lestat, the title character, along with his mother and boyfriend, are turned into these mythical creatures. What are vampires? Oh, Lestat, one of the closest I've ever come to leaving a show at intermission. Didn't, but thought about it real hard. Lestat was part of the unholy trinity of flop vampire musicals in the early 2000s, along with Dance of the Vampires and Dracula the Musical. And now a new vampire musical is set to come to Broadway this spring, the musical adaptation of The Lost Boys. Will The Lost Boys beat the vampire musical curse? Well, we'll just have to wait and see, but fingers crossed. Your first visual clue in the It's a Monster category for $200 is: what is Avenue Q? One of the many great things about Avenue Q was the opportunity to really see the art of puppeteering, with the actors fully visible as they manipulated their fuzzy counterparts. Trekkie Monster is what's known as a live-hander puppet. That's a puppet that requires two puppeteers, one to manipulate the head and mouth, as well as one hand, and another puppeteer who handles the other hand. Other puppets in the show, like Kate Monster or Princeton, are known as rod puppets because instead of an actual hand manipulating the puppet's fingers, the hands are static and move through the use of rods. And finishing up the Overture Round in the Little Shop of Horrors, your last $200 clue is Seymour, Audrey, and the rest of the characters all famously live in a part of town known as this, also the title of one of the musical's first numbers. What is Skid Row? Let's talk for a second about Beatrice Redding. You may not know the name, but I promise you, you'll love her. Beatrice Redding was spotted for her talent by Bill Bojangles Robinson when she was just 3 years old. She would go on to have a great career on the British stage, where she gained notoriety for playing jazz legend Bessie Smith in the revue The Jazz Train in 1955, and also appeared in the musicals Valmouth and a revival of South Pacific. It was a straight play though, William Faulkner's Requiem for a Nun, that got her a Tony nomination in 1957. And though she only had one brief cameo in the film version of Little Shop of Horrors, it will always be one of the best moments in the film.
Alarm goes off at 7 and you start uptown. You put in your 8 hours for the powers that have always been. Sing it, child.
I hope you all scared up the correct answers in that first round. Let's move on to the only slightly harder $400 round now. Circling back to Murder Most Foul, your first $400 clue is: this murder-filled musical, set in a high school, features 3 characters with the same first name. What is Heathers? Heathers is back off-Broadway currently after opening there in 2014. The new cast for this revival includes Laura Teeter, Mackenzie Kurtz, Lorna Courtney, Casey Likes, and Carrie Butler. The $400 clue in the Tricks or Treats category is: right now on Broadway, magician Rob Lake is at the Broadhurst Theater in a new show along with this very special green guest. Who is Kermit the Frog? How has it taken so long for the Muppets to appear on Broadway? But that's what's happening right now at the Broadhurst Theater, where not only is Kermit making his long-awaited Broadway debut, but also Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Fozzie, and more. I am so excited to see them on stage. I mean, I'm sure this Rob Lake guy is an amazing magician, and he'll thrill me and all, but come on, we all know who we're really there to see, let's be real. And that's the tea. Summoning the $400 clue in the spooky musicals category brings us: in The Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom makes a dramatic entrance during the masquerade dressed as a version of Death in this bright color. What is red? Eric, aka the Phantom in the musical as well as the original novel it's based on, enters the masquerade dressed as the Red Death, a reference to the Edgar Allan Poe story The Mask of the Red Death. There is actually an action figure coming out soon of the Phantom in his Red Death outfit. It's unfortunately not from the musical, it's from the 1925 silent film, but it's a pretty cool action figure nonetheless. Looking at an iconic creature in the It's a Monster category now with the $400 visual clue. What is Beetlejuice? This two-faced creature here is a sandworm. I remember the first time I saw the musical wondering if the iconic sandworm would make an appearance, and I didn't have to wait long as the giant creature slithered onto the stage early on in the show. He comes back later though with Beetlejuice riding the worm during the climactic finale.
Whoa, sandworms. You hate them, right? I hate them myself!
And your final $400 clue in the Little Shop of Horrors category is: we learn during the song Da-Doo that Audrey 2 first appeared during one of these natural phenomenons. What is a total eclipse of the sun? Did you guys know that there was an animated kids TV show based on Little Shop of Horrors called Little Shop? It ran just 13 episodes on Fox Kids in 1991. The horror elements from the musical as well as its original film basis were of course toned downs for the kids series, which saw a young Seymour and his plant Audrey Jr., as well as the lovely Audrey, who in this version is Mr. Mushnick's daughter. Orin Scrivello DDS is not present in this version, though he is alluded to. The neighborhood bully who torments the sweet Seymour is named Payne Driller. Each episode also features at least one musical number as well. All the episodes have been uploaded to YouTube if you want to go check them out after this. They're pretty fun.
Alright, it's time for me to bust a rhyme, so sit back and chill for a while. I'm coming at ya like Toon style, so get ready for a funny bone overload at the little shop. Yeah, boy, in full effect.
Scaring up the $600 round now, back at Murder Most Foul, your first $600 clue is... this is the final character to perish in the musical Sweeney Todd at the hands of young Tobias. Who is Sweeney Todd? For the 2005 revival with Patti LuPone and Michael Cerveris, the concept for that production was that of a flashback for Tobias, who is residing in a mental institution, with the actors being inmates who help reenact the story as well as observe it when not participating. This framing device was sort of overshadowed a bit, I think, by the additional concept of the actors also doubling as the orchestra, but I thought it was pretty effective nonetheless. Looking at a recent musical in the Tricks or Treats category gives us the $600 clue. In this musical about a 1930s cartoon character, one scene had the cast go from color to black and white and back to color again in an instant. What is Boop? The moment, which comes at the beginning of Act 2 during the song Where is Betty, is a magical moment that's really a product of the collaboration between costumes, lighting, projection, and choreography. Heading off Broadway now with the spooky musicals category in the $600 clue. In Evil Dead, leading man Ash cuts off his own hand after it becomes possessed, and he replaces it with one of these. What is a chainsaw? Yes, Ash replaces his possessed hand with a chainsaw, just as in the original Evil Dead film. One of my favorite merch items I've managed to hold on to after all these years is this foam chainsaw hand from the musical. I mean, come on, how cool is that? Simple man with simple joys. The $600 visual clue in the It's a Monster category is... what is Stranger Things: The First Shadow? Though, if you just said Stranger Things, that is acceptable. The massive Mind Flayer descends upon the Marquee Theater nightly, and let me tell you guys, I was sitting in the 4th or 5th row, and when that thing came down, whoo boy, it was intense. I thought the Stranger Things play was great. A perfect blend of drama, comedy, and horror, just like the TV show, but with a perfect dash of fan service and incredible live special effects. I can't wait for the upcoming 5th and final season of the TV show, and I think the stage play is gonna play an important role in it. I think Patty's gonna be in the final season and be the key to the whole thing. If you've seen the stage play and the show, let me know what you think. And finally, heading somewhere that's green with the Little Shop of Horrors category, your last $600 clue is... according to the song Somewhere That's Green, this is the ideal bedtime for Audrey and her dream husband. What is 9:15?
Between our frozen dinner and our bedtime, 9:15. We snuggle watching Lucy on a big, enormous 12-inch screen.
It's time now to really get cooking with the $800 round. But before we do, if you're enjoying this week's game, please boo me the honor of hitting that like button for me. It really helps with the truly terrifying YouTube algorithm and getting these videos shown to more gorgeous ghouls like yourselves, but it also makes me feel like I'm a graveyard smash. Thanks everyone, I really do appreciate it. Okay, no rest for the wicked, $800 round, here we go. Taking another stab at the Murder Most Foul category gives us the $800 clue. In Into the Woods, Jack's mother is killed after a hit to the head from this character. Who is the Prince's Steward? A small but important role in the musical. The $800 clue in the Tricks Are Treats category is: this popular magician from the 1970s and 80s starred in the musicals The Magic Show in 1974, as well as the short-lived Merlin in 1983. Who is Doug Henning? The musical The Magic Show began its life in Henning's home country of Canada. There it was titled Spellbound and had a score by Howard Shore, future Academy Award-winning composer of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And that production was directed by Henning's friend, Ivan Reitman. It apparently took so long for Doug Henning to fashion a story around his various illusions that the show only had 2 dress rehearsals before opening, neither of which were actually in the theater. Spellbound was enough of a success though for the producers of Godspell in New York to snap up the show, though they threw out the entire book and score, giving it a new book by Bob Randall and a new score by Stephen Schwartz respectively. The new version, now titled The Magic Show, worked much better as it would run for 4.5 years on Broadway. Looking at a much requested show now in the spooky musicals category with the $800 clue. The Canadian musical Ride the Cyclone is about a group of high school choir members who die while doing this. What is riding a roller coaster? You're either jumping up and down screaming with joy that I'm finally mentioning Ride the Cyclone, looking at you, Julie, or you're saying, what in the world is this musical? Ride the Cyclone started in Victoria, Canada in 2009 and bounced around a bit before landing off-Broadway in 2015. It has since continued to be produced around the world and is soon making its London debut. As the clue stated, the quirky musical comedy with a book and score by Jacob Richmond and Brooke Maxwell finds a group of high school choir members in limbo after perishing on the roller coaster named the Cyclone. While in limbo, they speak to Karnak, the mechanical fortune teller machine, who offers them a prize, the chance for one of them to be resurrected, but to win, they have to tell, or rather sing, their stories and prove why they deserve a second chance at life. It's a fun, interesting, original musical that hopefully will come back to New York soon. The next creature in the It's a Monster category for $800 is... what is King Kong? Yes, the giant gorilla was not the only large puppet in the 2015 musical. When our heroine Anne is getting to know Kong after he swept her away to his jungle-side cliff, she's attacked by a massive cobra. Kong steps in and protects her and even takes a few nasty bites from the snake before showing that cobra why they call him king. And going behind the scenes in the Little Shop of Horrors category now gives us the $800 clue. While the music for the musical was written by Alan Menken, the book and lyrics to the show were written by this man. Who is Howard Ashman? Howard Ashman was a beloved and brilliant lyricist and book writer who not only gave the world Little Shop of Horrors, but was also largely responsible for the Disney Renaissance of the 1990s. He of course provided the lyrics for the scores for The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and some of Aladdin, but it goes beyond that. It was Howard Ashman who would encourage the blending of musical theater and animation for Disney and hold story meetings with the Disney writers. He was also the one who approached Disney with the idea of an animated musical version of Aladdin. There is a wonderful documentary on this extraordinary man who was taken from us far too soon on Disney Plus, simply titled Howard, that you can watch to learn more. We've come to that point, my friends. The big show, the main event. It's the $1,000 round. Play that dramatic music. Best of luck, players. Back one last time in the Murder Most Foul category. Your first $1,000 clue is... in this dark musical, loosely based on the tragedy of Medea, the title character kills her 2 young sons. What is Marie Christine? Marie Christine, with book, music, and lyrics by Michael John LaChiusa, opened at the Vivian Beaumont Theater at Lincoln Center in December of 1999, making it the last new original musical to open on Broadway in the 20th century. The show was written for star Audra McDonald, who starred alongside Anthony Crivello and Mary Testa in the musical. Besides a loose adaptation of the Greek tragedy Medea, the musical also borrowed from the real life of Marie Laveau, a well-known practitioner of voodoo magic in New Orleans in the 1800s. The last trick I have to treat you with in the Tricks or Treats category for $1,000 is... One of the most memorable bits of theatrical magic was in Disney's Beauty and the Beast, where the Beast miraculously transitioned into the prince named this. Who is Prince Adam? It really is one of the greatest theatrical illusions of all time, the Beast's transition. Now, there actually seems to be some debate about the Beast's real name. It's not given in the original 1991 film at all, but various tie-in merch and Disney parks have since called him Prince Adam, and Disney seems to really have embraced that name. But that's not the case with Dave Smith, who was the founder and head of the Walt Disney Archives. While he was alive, he staunchly maintained that Adam was not the official name for the Beast, and the same went for other princes that were not named in their films but have since been given names, like Florian for Snow White's prince or Henri for Prince Charming. Summoning one last clue in the spooky musicals category gives us the $1,000 clue. This off-Broadway horror musical comedy features the characters Melvin Ferd III, a nerdy scientist, Sarah, a blind librarian, and Babs Bellgoody, the scheming mayor. What is the Toxic Avenger? The Toxic Avenger is based on the 1984 cult classic horror/superhero film of the same name that recently received a remake starring Peter Dinklage. The musical, written by Joe DiPietro and David Bryan, opened at New World Stages off-Broadway in 2008, starring Nancy Opel, Nick Cordero, and Sarah Chase, who's going to go star in Schmigadoon. The last visual clue in the It's a Monster category for $1,000 is... What is The Lightning Thief? Based on the first novel in the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan, The Lightning Thief musical opened in fall of 2019 on Broadway and ran for 30 previews and 95 official performances. The creature seen here is the Minotaur, who plays a crucial role in Percy Jackson's story, as fans of the musical, the Amazing Book series, or great TV version can attest to. There was no film version of Percy Jackson in 2010. It didn't happen, it's been deleted. We don't talk about it. And the curtain call clue in the Little Shop of Horrors category for $1,000 is... Right before she discovers the talking plant, Audrey says she couldn't sleep, so she took one of these over-the-counter sleep aids. What is a Sominex? During the 1950s, Sominex brand sleep aids were among the very first medications to advertise on TV, becoming well known for its sing-along bouncing ball commercial.
Safe and restful sleep, sleep, sleep.
Take Sominex as directed for 100% safe sleep.
And with that, we've reached the final Jeopardy round, everyone! Time to tally up those scores and decide how much you want to wager in the category Let's Get Gothic, looking at some shows based on Gothic novels. Okay, has everyone made their wagers? Michael? Chris? Amy? Okay, here is your final clue. In The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Quasimodo and Phoebus use a map to find Esmeralda, which brings them to a mysterious location deep in the catacombs under Paris called this. What is the Court of Miracles? The Court of Miracles was a real location in 17th century Paris. It was a slum neighborhood overrun with beggars and unhoused people. It got its sort of whimsical name because as the ill and injured beggars returned home to the district after a long day of begging, their ailments and broken bones miraculously healed until they left again the next morning. And that's this week's game! How did you all fare in this year's Halloween game? Did you do frighteningly well, or is your game dead and buried? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys and seeing how you did. There's no tricks when it comes to these treats over here, my amazing patrons over on Patreon. I love you guys so much, it's scary. If you want to help support the channel and keep the videos coming, you can head over to my Patreon using the link in the video description. If you want to connect with me outside of YouTube, you can find me over on Instagram, or you can email me directly at broadwaybyghostright@gmail.com. I will be back next week with episode 73, but until then, I'm Mark Benani. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Unpleasant dreams. Oh boy.